were a little young, but I would like to get a feel for it, like, 'cause especially in Brooklyn, when kind of has different milestones, like when Sammy rolled in like 90, 91, 91-ish.
I don't know nothing about that.
No, I'm just saying, like, it was you were young, and then over time.
But I did go to Plaza Suite, and I remember hearing, they reopened that. When I was a teen, they reopened that for like one weekend because they were like, Sammy had this place, you know.
Yeah.
But you hear the names. I mean,
and they killed the former owner.
That I heard that on YouTube.
I
didn't hear that in the neighborhood. Yeah, I heard that on YouTube.
Well, the guy allegedly pulled out a machine gun on him. That's another story. Yeah, so we're not gonna, him and I have an agreement. We're not gonna talk about like that kind of stuff. But what I was trying to get a feel for, as you pick the right path. Yeah. Now the funny part is you talk about people who pick the wrong path, right? Yeah. And they like have an arc, right? They kind of have their highlight, and then it just crashes down, and they end up in a foreman, dead, or in jail, whatever happens, right? But following the straight and narrow isn't easy either. You get up every day. You gotta do something.
That's the easy way. But that's the easy way. The other way, they say it in all the movies. They say they try to drop hints, and I listen to those hints rather than watching the money. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people watch the money, they watch the jewelry, but they're not listening to what C's father's telling him.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? And now, I bet you there's a lot. Like when I was 18, my uncle's like, "You want to work?" I said, "Yeah, I want to work." I bet you there's a lot of guys that had an opportunity that didn't realize how fast. Like I told my nephew, like life moves fast.
Yeah.
And you are nothing but the addition of all your choices that you made. Yeah. So you got to make them, and you got to make them quick. And I made that choice. And a lot of people that I know, they're like, I wish I could have had a chance to be there. I didn't do it when I was younger. And now they're struggling,
Now, without giving names, your close vicinity, think of your closest 3-4 friends at 18 years old, let's say. Did they follow kind of your life straight and narrow? Did they kind of go into that life? And if so, how did they kind of end up? Just so get a feel for how, like, you made a decision. How did your friends fare?
Yeah, no, I grew up with a lot of kids. A couple of them are dead. God rest their soul. A couple of them in jail. A couple of them, they just can't figure it out. It's sad. Life is hard. A couple of them are doing really good for themselves. So, it's just like anybody else. I mean, anybody else you hear from telling stories about Brooklyn or New York, you always got that. And I'm one of the fortunate kids that they all probably thought wasn't going to make it out, and I made it out.
So I want to also highlight, he came up with a 3-part Bensonhurst movie that he does like essentially over song. You have one where it's all on one, correct?
Yeah, that one.
Okay, so I'm going to play Accardo with Da Vinci. I just think that so I want to know kind of the map it out for us. Give us from conception to execution on the Bensonhurst video. It's amazing. I'm going to put a link for that below as well.
Thank you. Yeah, so in all my albums, I never really went full on street. So I said to myself, I got to do a street album. I got to give them something that's never really been done before. So Willie, who's an older guy from my neighborhood, he looked out for me. He put my song in his movie. I remember him filming as a kid.
What movie was that?
Well, I was in Back in the Day, his boxing movie that came out.
Sweet.
Yeah, my song is in the end, the trailer.
Oh, shit. Nice.
Yeah, he reached out to me. He's like, "You're a kid from the neighborhood. I see you doing your thing." He's like, "I want to get you in the movie."
Nice.
I was supposed to be in the first Gravesend series, my song, but my mom was in the hospital at the time, and it was just bad timing.
Yeah.
So when I wanted to do the album, I said, I'm not. You know what? He looked out for me, and I'm all about respect. So I said, I'm not going to name the album Gravesend. I didn't live in Bensonhurst. I hung out in Bensonhurst, had family in Bensonhurst. It's basically the same thing. So I said, out of respect for him, I said, I'm going to go somewhere different with it, and I'll just name it Bensonhurst. So I named the album Bensonhurst. And then I honestly was writing the album with him in mind because I know he was coming out with Gravesend too.
Yeah.
So I said,
Willie DeMayo.
Yeah, Willie DeMayo. Yeah, Willie DeMayo. So yeah, so I wrote the whole album. I said, you know what? Let me write this album as a movie. As a kid from the neighborhood would have made a rap album back then. They weren't rapping about that back then. They really weren't. I mean, there were some kids, don't get me wrong, no disrespect. There were kids there doing it. I said, but since I'm doing it at the level I'm doing it, the attention that I'm getting, I said, I really got to put the neighborhood on. And that's what I did. So when I wrote everything like a movie.